I knew I was very passionate about working with kids and really knew that I wanted to be able to impact their lives in some way, whatever way I could. And I was working in the school system in North Carolina with very young children, birth through 5, that had very special needs, and wanted to take some of my experience doing that to another country. And I really wanted to be in India because although I was born and raised here, I had never really been able to go anywhere by myself, and wanted to be in India, not in an area that I was well aware of and that I'd visited with family, year after year. So I ended up going to South India. So I had the language barrier to deal with, and I had really lots of cultural differences but I just wanted to immerse myself. So I ended up spending 3 months over the summer after my junior year, and realized that it was perfect. It was the most amazing experience. I think I was working with a couple local NGOs, and I think some of the things that I learned were really just about myself. I struggled for a long time after that project because I didn't do anything, or I felt like I didn't do anything because I had no clarity really what I was doing. I was kind of doing research and teaching a little bit, but again, I sort of walked away being like, that was totally useless in terms of my contribution. But I learned so much about myself, about what I wanted to do, about what I was passionate about, what I really valued. I was able to have conversations with there was a very small school that I worked at, and it was with very young children, like 2-year-olds. But I was able to actually meet with all of the parents then, and it was the first time they'd ever had a meeting, and whereas we do that here all the time, it was the first time they'd ever called a full meeting of all the parents of those children to talk about what their thoughts were about the trajectory of their kids. Like, what do they think in terms of the political environment, in terms of educational policy, in terms of culture and society and social pressures and all the things and even though they're so little, these are things that parents think about, of course. And so it was this really wonderful opportunity to talk about all these things that I kind of think about but didn't really have a chance to engage in a dialogue with other people around. And so that was, I think, really exciting. And so I walked away feeling like I got a whole lot out of the experience, but gave nothing back, which is probably true. Some of my development is very much connected to my spouse, my husband's trajectory. He was, in terms of our work in Liberia, he was born there, and I know in undergrad, we both were in undergrad together, we'd talk a lot about what that was like for him, and his very strong desire to go back and give back, and having seen firsthand the disparity of and his privilege of being able to walk away from a war-torn situation and the people that were left behind. And so I think for him, struggling with that and me sort of being on that journey with him brought a lot of that for me to the forefront. And in grad school, I ended up pursuing an internship opportunity, working. I did multiple ones with children, and my last one I ended up working with young soldiers, actually, and doing clinical intervention, so doing therapy with them. And I think it just brought to the forefront for me what war and what conflict can do to an individual person. And so then I started moving in that direction, and we actually started to go to Liberia in 2005. And I had a lot of lack of clarity, I think, and I still do. I still struggle incredibly, daily, with lack of clarity. I think what's happened for me is uncertainty has become comfortable. Not knowing is comfortable now, which was really intolerable for me when I was younger. I needed to know all the answers. I needed to know exactly how something was going to get done. And now I feel more comfortable with okay, well, I don't have all the answers, and I'm not going to have all the answers. And I still need to do my best and be critical about what I'm doing and really challenge myself and things like that. So I struggle with that, but I think there's a place of comfort with that, just because the work I think that we all are trying to do it's difficult, and it pushes so many of our moral buttons, and it challenges our values, and it makes us rethink things that we always thought we wanted, and things that we choose not to have, even if we've always wanted them, because it doesn't fit with our values anymore. And I don't know if you want specific things, but I think that struggle, that's the real struggle that I've had throughout my life, in my process of being able to do this work. And I think it continues to be a struggle. It's not something that just goes away, because at every stage of life you end up having different things that pull you in different directions, and trying to make decisions about how much you can contribute in terms of time and energy into the work, and how much you need to sort of pare back and really think about your own development, or think about family, or think about your community that you live in, or things like that. That's hard. So. Early 2009 was when we ended up having just more people join Tiyatien Health. And I think with more people joining and hearing sort of, because obviously as a co-founder, I've been there from the beginning, but when you see Tiyatien through other people's lens, like their perception, I think it gives clarity to you. And so for me, that's when it started to kind of come together. And people are amazing, and they're so intelligent, and they so all these new team members, they came forward and they had all these ideas, and I feel like all these like moving parts started to become organized and started to work. And by the end of 2009, we'd launched a mental health treatment program where we were providing depression and epilepsy services. So there was definitely a point of like synergy where it all came together and it clicked, and that was really great. And then the other thing is, I think every time I go to Liberia, it always clicks. So when I'm here, I struggle much more. When I'm there, it's great. I love it. I'm so happy. I can work from dawn to dusk, and I have no problem. I'm never tired. It's just great. Being with the community, seeing what you're really trying to do, seeing it in action. The staff, people are just so amazing, and they've put their heart and soul into making, their communities healthier. And I think being able to be there and see that always brings it all into very sharp focus. Our work in Liberia is not going anywhere. We're always going to be involved. We're always going to, those are our friends. That's our community, and those are people that we love and want to share our lives with, and want them to share their lives with us. And so that's incredibly hopeful. And I think it's energizing. It's incredibly energizing to be involved with the work, and then also to see, like, hear just all the wonderful people that are also so passionate about what they're doing, and are going to be moving in such wonderful directions. And I think that's incredibly hopeful too. So over the next year, I just sort of see, Tiyatien continuing to move in a good direction, I think, and personally, I think that's hopeful, and that makes me feel like we have a very, very lifelong relationship.